You're listening to Bitch Said What with Cooper and Sabrina, a podcast by thirsty bitches for thirsty bitches.
In today's episode, we talk about first dates, guys spending the night, Kim Kardashian becoming a lawyer, Ted Cruz, Rush Limbaugh's tragic death, and we play a new game, Trash or Treasure.
So stick around to hear our opinions and why your opinions are wrong. Hey, long time no see.
Hi. It's been a long time coming. I'm just fresh-faced and ready to go. I've got my coffee. It's hot even, and I'm an iced coffee bitch. We know this, and it's 6:53 in the evening on a Friday. Raging.
Yeah, see, we're recording this episode back to back with our other episode. We just took like a break, and I'm also going for the caffeine route. I had like a cup of black, I think like English breakfast tea, and now I'm having black Earl Grey tea. So
wow, all the tea, which is fitting for what we're talking about today. What this episode is all about. But yeah, since we are recording it on the same day, it's a little refresh of the stuff we've been doing, which I think is kind of fun. It's a cool idea. I'm excited.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different because our astrology and our horoscopes are going to be the same. So we're also going to be trying out a new segment this episode and seeing how it goes called Trash or Treasure. Hopefully it goes well, and if it does, maybe we'll throw it in the mix. So
for sure. I'm excited about it. I love trash. I find most trash my treasure.
As someone who is a piece of trash but views themselves as treasure, I think this game is the most fitting thing ever.
So there is this song I really like, and it's called Men Are Trash. And it's by a man, and one of his lyrics is "Men are trash, but baby, you're a raccoon." And I can't say I relate, but
I'm just like, wow, that's a great way to get me in bed, calling me a raccoon.
It's not wrong, because I'm like, if men are trash, I may just be a raccoon.
Digging in that trash.
I mean, gotta do what I gotta do. We have a third co-host today in this episode. We have my cat, Amelia, just living her dream.
I don't know if Sabrina knows this, but I'm also recording the video for this podcast. Because like we're using Zoom, so like we have the video and the audio recording of this episode. So if I can figure out a way how I edit it how I like video wise, the listeners might get to see your cat.
Oh yes, what a delight for you guys, because she is definitely wanting to stay.
Yeah, well, just because I think I'm obligated to plug our podcast. If you did want to check out the video podcasts, those are posted on YouTube.
Ooh, YouTube.
Yeah.
For sure. We love it. We're everywhere, guys.
Did you know?
We're everywhere and always growing.
Did you know that Owl Podcast used to allow you to have video?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that was like 2010, like when they first had podcasts. So like it was kind of like pre-YouTube. It was like video podcasts.
Video podcasts are a huge thing. Like I watch quite a few of them.
See, I don't, but I know that people do.
Mm-hmm. I listen to quite a fair bit of podcasts that also have video, but Frenemies, not to plug another podcast, but with Trisha and Ethan from H3, which both very problematic people, do not recommend them as like humans, but their interaction together is so delightful and it's really nice to watch, and the drama is wild. Yeah. And it's very entertaining. So I prefer watching that one over listening to it.
See, I don't think we're quite at the point where video podcasts, like video of us is gonna like be possible, just because like I'm still editing our stuff quite heavily and like cutting things out and rearranging it because we're still figuring out how to create like an entertaining podcast. So like it'd be weird watching a video where everything's kind of like mishmash. So
for sure, yeah.
So like that's why we're our videos are pretty low tech, but anyways,
I think we're getting a little too behind the curtain here.
Oh,
let's reel it back in.
We love a behind the curtain moment.
True, we do love it. Like, nope, keep going. You finish your thought.
I was gonna say, I just like plugging myself. I was gonna say, and if you like these behind the curtain things, we do offer behind the scenes content on our Patreon. So
perfect. But on that note, behind the curtain somehow made me think of Lady Gaga. I thought it was the name of her Netflix documentary, but I don't think it was.
It's like 5'2".
I think that one had something. Yeah, I was like, I think that one actually had something to do with her height. But regardless, I recently got a notification from Target saying that All Music and Books was buy two, get one free.
Do you know what that is?
And obviously a way to get you to buy things.
That's second-degree price discrimination.
Probably. But regardless, with that pricing, I got a book for school and I got 2 albums, and one of them is Lady Gaga's Joanne.
I loved Lady Gaga's Joanne when it came out.
Joanne is so good. I was like looking, so I had picked out Lover right away. And then I was trying to debate on like another one I wanted. And I was kind of looking at Casey Musgrave's Golden Hour, but then the shipping for that one was really weird. So I was like, is there another one? And then Joanne popped up and I was like, this is it. I am sold. Like, this is one that I want to listen to on my record player. And it is, and it's beautiful, and it makes me very happy.
I'm glad that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Speaking about things that make me happy, let's see, should I go into something that's politically correct or not politically correct? Recently, Rush Limbaugh died.
Woohoo!
And with that comes, I think, a very big philosophical question about whether one should celebrate another person's death. And I think I've come to the realization that I am perfectly comfortable celebrating the death of someone who I think spreaded a lot of hate and terrible viewpoints. I know that there are a lot of people that idolize him, but I don't think that means he's deserving of my praise, especially when he came towards like anti people in my community. So,
for sure.
I am glad he's gone.
As I make fun, high-tech noises with my mouth, very excited about Rush Limbaugh's death, is really just an reenactment of him at the case of people dying of AIDS. And, the AIDS epidemic was so primarily focused within the gay community, which is why nobody talked about it or cared about it. It was highly marginalized people, whether it was gay men or people of color or one and the same, and he celebrated their deaths. So I feel like as he did of people he thought should die, we should do that same respect to him. He celebrated their deaths, we can celebrate his.
Exactly.
The system in America is so messed up because of people like him.
Yeah.
Like these personalities that came out and decided they were going to take these very extremist point of views, and it just pushed back so much good that could have come in our country because it made people it continues to fuel hate or prejudice that people already had. And we just don't need that alive. If anything, the one good thing he did was also force people to be outspoken against him and wanting to be opposite forces, which I think happens a lot.
I suppose. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about him because I don't think he deserves it. Sure. But
no. Although, with what I said, I do think talking about like radicalization of the right or horrible people on the right also brings forth really great people on the left. And I just think of all the great things and great people who've stepped forward due to, you know, we think about 2016 and that, and it's like because Trump won, we got so many amazing new powerful people in Congress, women of color in Congress, that I'm not sure we would have if Hillary would have won, or even if in the primaries, you know, Bernie would have won and then continued going.
No, I agree. I guess the only thing I was going to say is that I think Rush Limbaugh perfectly, an example, perfectly, anyways, I can't think of the right word. Perfectly exemplifies people who are willing to make the system worse, who are willing to make this country more divisive, to radicalize people just to make a profit. But anyways.
Another thing that's brought me great joy is Real Housewives. I love Real Housewives series. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City has been really phenomenal. It just finished up, and I'm just finishing up myself, and it's great. It's good drama. It's a really diverse cast, which you would think Salt Lake City, Utah, you don't think diversity. So many of the other cities it's been in, you would think diversity, you know, New York. I'm trying to think of other ones, but like Beverly Hills, you could think diversity, Orange County, like California, what have you. But Salt Lake City has that diversity kind of there and is really outspoken about it, which is really nice. And I'm really happy to have that show. If you're looking for trash reality TV that has a treasure of diversity, I would recommend Salt Lake City. And then with that, Real Housewives of New Jersey is back. And that show is what got me to love Real Housewives. And they're not stopping. The drama this season is so ridiculous because, as it always is, it is cheating scandals that are not real or trying to make a cheating scandal real or what have you. And then a really bad analogy about a daughter snorting coke. And one rule on the Real Housewives, you do not go for the kids. And it seems like none of the other housewives cared because they like understood that it was an analogy. But like, you still don't make that kind of analogy. Like, out of everything you could do to be like, you can't say false like accusations. Like, if you know it's not true, don't say it just because you heard it somewhere or whatever. I feel like that's a really bad possible rumor to just say.
And I would never expect reality TV to do anything that's bad or unethical or trashy.
No.
Like, I expect those people to be saints.
It's illegal.
Well, oh, yeah, it is.
Like, you're saying she's doing something illegal. Like, that's pretty serious. It's one thing to be like, oh, I heard that your husband is cheating, or like that's one thing.
But that's like slander.
Like, to be like, yeah, but you're not accusing him of committing a crime. Or like a prosecutional crime that people are getting prosecuted for.
No, yeah, it's like slander to say, you know, she's doing drugs or whatever, attacking her character.
But then also saying she's doing something illegal. But yeah, so just wanted to mention that to, you know, reality TV horrendousness and personalities that just make existing so wild. At least I'm not that, you know?
Wild?
No, like at least like my drama or like my friendship circle or like what have you isn't like Real Housewives-esque.
No,
like,
I don't. Yeah.
It's just bad. Did you know I used to bah? When I said bad, it reminded me of that.
Bah?
I'd be like, bah, bah. And
well, I'm glad you don't anymore.
I know. I used to do it as like a joke to like a couple of my friends, like, and just, I don't even know where it came from, but like for a solid like month, I did it a lot, and then I just stopped.
Dark times. Dark times.
Yeah.
What age
story
was
of
that?
my memoir.
Was that like high school or middle school, elementary?
No, that was like 22. Like that was like within the last couple of years.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. It really was like a joke.
Oh, I'm sure it was intended as a joke. I just think it's so absurd. But you know, who am I to judge?
Just like hanging out in silence or like sending a Snapchat video and being like, bah, bah. Funny.
Teenagers. 22. As I said.
Full-grown adult.
As I said, teenagers.
You're not even that old yet.
I'm not 22. So while you've been watching trashy television, I've returned to playing a game from my youth, Wizard 101. I am busy saving the spiral in the greatest MMO game of our life. Did you ever play Wizard 101?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, it's an online MMO game. So it's like multiplayer. And you are a wizard, but you like the game mechanics, like you cast spells by like playing cards. So like on your screen, you have like 7 cards, and you select what card and spell you want to play.
Okay.
And you just go and defeat bosses and enemies and save people and ultimately save the spiral, which is like the universe of this place.
Oh,
so
nice.
I've been definitely spending too much time on this, but as I am currently unemployed and bored, it's a great way to entertain myself.
That's fair. Yeah, I've been busy the last couple of weeks, so it's been really hard for me to like focus on anything. But now that I'm like settled in and slowing down a bit, I'm just like, it's time for a solid routine again. I miss routine.
So is your life not as busy as it has been? Is it slowing down a bit?
Just with moving, like moving has taken up so much of like my brain that like now that I'm settled in.
You moved in yesterday. How are you settled in?
I feel settled in. I mean, I'm not. Like all my clothes still need to be put away.
It's probably just
my shoes need to be put away.
I'm guessing it's just like no more stress with having the roommate, and like I have my own space, and like I have I'm able to predict and control my future and my happiness.
For sure, yeah. Well, and like packing is so stressful because it's like, okay, when do I pack this? When do I pack that? And just waiting for everything to happen. But now it's like, oh, everything's done. Now it's just like unpacking, figuring out how to get rid of my recyclables, like all the little things, like decorating, setting things up, figuring out a couch. Because this room is definitely smaller than I thought it would be. And I realized that when my chair came in and like all the furniture was placed, I was like, oh no, the space I thought I had, I do not have. So had to cancel the couch I had, which I had just gotten an update that it was coming 3 months early. I was so excited. And then I was like, it's not going to fit. So I have to find a new couch, which is annoying. But now I have the dimensions that I want for the couch. So I'm not going in like as blind, being like, oh yeah, a standard couch would fit. I think the couch I picked was a little like oversized anyway. So hopefully I can find something smaller in my price range without being like too much smaller, because I don't want like a small couch. But I need it to fit. Riveting stuff, I know.
It's riveting stuff.
Oh wait, do you need a chair? Side note.
I don't
for like your new place. I know you mentioned wanting a chair.
Kind of. I don't want like a big chair though.
Oh yeah, my chair is kind of big.
I don't know.
Because I was gonna say you can have my chair.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
Because I just don't know like how it's going to fit because I don't move until like August.
I know. It's so, and like that's the hard part because you're like, oh yeah, it'll fit. And then as I said, no, it won't.
Yeah.
It happens. I don't know. Because like I have to figure out, because I probably won't keep it once I get the couch. But like obviously if like someone else wants it, like I can hold it. Like I have space to hold it in like one of my closets or somewhere. So or even like in the like I have storage here, so I'll be able to like store things, but I just like won't be using it. So I'd rather someone else be able to use it if they can.
Anyways.
And stuff.
So let's talk about something juicy.
Juicy.
So
oozy.
Do you want to talk about A, guys spending the night, B, relationships with exes, C, bad hookup stories, or D, sex with coworkers, bosses, and professors?
Ooh, let's do A. Boys spending the night.
Okay. So, what's your thoughts on boys spending the night? Do you like it? Do you like it when you just like, hey, come over, let's do our thing and then leave? Like, I need my space.
I love sharing a bed with someone, but I also like being in my own bed or a bed far superior to mine. So if it's like, if the guy also has like a full bed with like a mediocre mattress, I'm like, I'd rather be at my place. But if they have like a top tier king bed, I'm like, yours. I'm like, I love a bed. I love cuddling. I love touching. So I'm always like, I like a sleepover. I kind of like to know about a sleepover though, just to kind of have those expectations settled. But also it's kind of like a here and then leave is also kind of nice.
Yeah.
Depending on the guy and the situation, and I like options.
I think I like to prefer spend the night at their place than for them to spend the night with me. Because then I like it because then you could be just like, well, I'm ready to go. Instead of like, because if you're at your place, I feel like it's like hard to kick them out. But if you're at their place, it's easy to like exit.
If you have a hard out, it's easy to kick people out. The last time I had a guy spend the night, I had work in the morning. So I had to get up and get ready and like go to work. And he was like kind of lazy and just was like, hey, he woke up when I did, and then I was getting ready for work. And he was like on his phone. We were talking about the news, and he was like, hey, just let me know when you want me to go. And I was like, I mean, you have to leave when by the time I leave, so we can just like leave at the same time.
See, I just meant like, I'm thinking even before that, I'm just like, first might say like it's like 9 p.m. We've already done the deed, and I'm just like, I don't want it to be like in my place. I'm just like, well, I kind of just rather them leave and then not being able to get them to leave. Because I'm the kind of person where like I would have a hard time kicking someone out, but I'd be perfectly willing
have to be like,
to just like make an excuse and leave.
I have an early morning, or like, I don't like it. It's like can kind of be awkward because I've definitely had those moments. But especially if it's that early in the night, like it's kind of easy to just be like, I have an early morning, or you set it up beforehand.
So this isn't with spending the night, but what I've started doing with like dates though is like usually like first dates, I'll like pre-plan someone to like call me or to have like some excuse to leave like an hour in, and then if it's going well, like I'll cancel that. But if it's going badly, then I have like an escape plan like an hour in, so I don't have like a 3-hour date where I can't get out. Because I've had that. I went on a date once with a guy in La Crosse, and it went on for like 3 hours, and I'm just a polite Midwestern boy and have a hard time like one, saying goodbye, and two, just being like, okay, this isn't going great. I just want to leave.
I had the worst first date ever. And I was like, I wasn't sure about the guy anyway. Like talking to him, I was like, I don't know. So we met like a super public place, and the minute he showed up, I was like, abort, abort, abort. I was like texting a friend, like, I need you to call me. Like, I need to get out of this. This is horrible. And so I started telling him. I was like, oh, sorry, I'm texting. Like, a friend of mine is just really going through something, and like, I'm not really sure what's going on with her right now. And I'm just trying to like be there for her and what have you. And then she like called me, and she like on the phone, she was acting out the scenario we had picked. So like he could hear her like freaking out. And then once I got like away from him.
What was the emergency?
Just like drama with like, she was like playing off like drama with her boyfriend, or like an ex-boyfriend that she couldn't stay away from, which was a true story. So that was fun. It was like hype. Like,
that's boring.
Well, she had a really bad ex-boyfriend that she was not staying away from. So it was a pretty easy story.
Medical is a good excuse. It's like, oh my God, my best friend's little brother just is going to the hospital, and I need to go drive her because she got her license revoked because she has too many DUIs.
Like, the thing with this story was I literally was just like, I have to go pick her up. Like, she is in the Dells right now. She has nobody else closer. Like, I have to go get her. Like, she's stranded because of this douchebag. Like, I have to go. And it worked.
Yeah. Well, that is a very good tip and trick.
He was also a big dick about it that day, but then he like texted me the next day and like kept trying to talk to me, and I just like ghosted him.
Oh, I would have blocked him at that point. But relying on friends to get you out of bad dates, good tool.
Exactly. Speaking of bad dates, I am curious. I'm curious about your thoughts on this. You go on a first date, and you're on the date, and it's going really well, and then you're like leaving the restaurant, and then it's like, oh, let's keep doing things. And then it's like, oh, let's go to like a bar, or like, oh, let's go back to one of our places. Who's driving? Like, are you both taking your own car? Like, if you both took your own cars to the restaurant, and then it's like, oh, we're going to spend more time together. Are you driving together or separate?
I don't know. I usually wouldn't. I feel like I wouldn't go to like their place. I'd usually be like, oh, let's go to a bar and like walk. Cause like, I feel like if you're downtown, you can like walk to a bar. But if we were going to like their place, I would take my car just because I'd get nervous if I didn't. Because,
but like, let's say like you go to a restaurant that's not downtown. So like to go to like the next spot, you kind of have to drive.
Maybe take my car. I don't know.
Okay.
I like being in control.
Fair. I have no idea. I've done it before. And I usually take my own car. But I was talking to someone who was talking about a date he went on, and she like ended up coming over after. They didn't like do anything. They just like spent more time together, and they had gone like to dinner and then went and got drinks after, and then ended up at his place. He had a hard out, which is why they were ending the date, but she had to get an Uber. And I was like, he said that, and I was like, did she not drive to the restaurant? And he was like, well, yeah, she had to Uber back to her car. I was like, why didn't she just keep her car with her? Like, why didn't she keep driving?
One, I think it's important to like keep the car so like you have an easy way to leave if things go south. But then like I think it's kind of a dick move not to offer to drive her to her car.
Yeah, I think it was just like he had a work thing. I don't really know. Well, I do know like he had a work thing that he had to do like at midnight. It was like 11:45 or something. So like he didn't have time. Like he ended up not having time to like take her back because they had just been spent like they had kind of lost track of time. And then he was like,
was this one of your midnight meetings at work?
No, this is not someone I work with.
Oh, so they also have like a midnight meeting? That's weird.
They do IT, so they have like computer system reboots to do, so they had to do that at home.
Interesting. I realized that I have done this. I went on a date with this guy named Johnny, and we were at like a cafe, and things were going good. We had coffee, and I decided to extend things. So we then went to a bar called Cooper's Tavern. We went there. We had some wine. It was going good. And then he had something afterwards that he was going to go to, like an engagement with some friends. Then he invited me to go along, and things were going well. I liked him. So I said yes. And he drove me. Mm-hmm. But of course, like, I don't have my own car in Madison. So I still was like reliant on them.
Yeah, that's fair. I once had a guy. So I was living on State Street. We had met up at Tipsy Cow, which was like on the other end of State Street from where I lived, like the other side of Capitol.
Yeah.
And then we had a really good date. So then we kind of kept hanging out after, and we went bar hopping a little bit, and slowly all the way back down to like where I live. And we're at the last bar of the night. It's like almost midnight. We both have work in the morning. And he's like, "Oh, do you want to go back to my place?" And I was like, "No. I live 2 blocks that way, and I'm walking. I'm going home." And I'm like, and we both work in the morning. And then I was like, "Oh, well, where's your car? Like, you could maybe like come over to my place." But like his car was all the way over by Tipsy Cow. So it's like, I don't want you having to walk State Street. So like a full 20-minute walk on State, and then another like 10-minute.
It's not 20 minutes to go upstate.
It can be. It took me usually like 10 to 20, depending. I guess in the middle of the night, it's probably faster because there's not like as many people or whatever. But
yeah, I'm skeptical. Like, I think it's like what, 5-6 blocks?
Yeah, but it's like up a hill, babe.
Anyways,
because of my Fitbit, I know how long it took me to do those walks because I went on so many dates at Paul's Club, living all the way at the end of State. Okay. So I
forget that I walk at gay pace, like gay speed. So I'm just like, that only takes like 3 minutes to walk.
That's fair. That's fair. I
walk fast.
I walk at slow girl speed. I have short legs and I walk so slow, but
no, I could probably power walk that place and that street in like 5-10 minutes. Because like I don't know, like, because I did walk like all the way up State Street once for like a date with Johnny, because I walked from my dorm. So I went up the Howard Temin Trail to the Union all the way up to State Street. So like, I don't think it took that long.
No, that would take me forever.
Yeah. Well, I'm a man on a mission.
Yeah. It was also like the well, I guess that was summer too. Well, no, it had started getting colder by that point. But this was also like hot in the middle, like at the beginning of summer. So it was like kind of like like you're just getting used to the heat. So like your clothes are kind of weird. And like, regardless, I kept seeing that guy for like another couple of weeks, but it was really interesting because like I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to my place now because like we're done with our date and like I work in the morning, and he still like offered, like asked me if I wanted to go back to his place, even though again, I lived closer. And then he was like, "Oh, well, can I at least get a goodnight kiss?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like I've had a lot of fun with you." And then I think we saw each other either the next night or the night after, but it was a very strange situation with that one.
Yeah. See, I feel like I would never be like, "Oh, can I get a kiss?"
Ooh, that's interesting. And another topic I've talked about recently is like, is it sexy to ask for like consent to do something? Like in terms of like that, like making the first move or like the first kiss. Like obviously, like, because like there's the two different things, right? There's like body cues and like kind of going with it as things are progressing and doing like physical asks versus like an oral ask. But like, what do you prefer?
I would say usually I don't ask or get asked these things.
You prefer like the physical kind of like.
So usually with a kiss, I just lean in.
Ooh, we got a dominant right there.
Funny. No, so like I think the last 2 dates I went on, like when I was in Madison, and they both drove me back to my dorm, which is lovely.
I mean, you don't want to walk.
Oh, like the funny thing is, like, I'd walk there, and then they would find out I walked there, and they'd feel bad, and just like, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that's a long walk." I'm like, "Not really." And they're like, "Well, do you want to ride back?" I'm like, "Sure." And then like when we arrived at the cul-de-sac in front of my dorm, like we sit there for a bit, and I'd just like lean in and kiss them.
Look at you.
I have it down to a science.
I only will like lean in for a kiss and be like, "Hey," when I've been like dating them for a while. Like if we've been together for a bit, I'll be like, can I get that affection, please? But otherwise, I'm very much like, you got to make the move. So I like when guys are like, when they say it, I'm just like, oh, you get consent, which is nice. But can also kind of be like a guy being like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to catch a case. And I'm just like, I hate you. I'm
trying to recall particular instances whether I've done it or not. I'm definitely very pro communication during sex.
For sure.
But I don't think I usually explicitly ask for consent.
I think it's important sometimes to be like, do you want to keep going? Or like...
Well, I guess I've had like those conversations.
Do you want to... Yeah. Because I think sometimes there's like, again, like I say again, sex is black and white, right? Like either you want it or you don't want it. You don't always have to say you want it to show that you want it. But you also don't have to say it to show you don't want it either. So, I think when in doubt, just asking is always fine and doesn't usually break the moment. Especially like the first couple times you're with someone, or like when it's like a standard sexual interaction, including kisses or like hugs. I also like when guys ask me if I want a hug, because a lot of times I don't. So they're like, oh, can I hug you? And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm just not really feeling comfortable with that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a no hug person. Shit.
Yeah.
I'm a hug person, I guess.
I like physical touch. So, like, I like being touched. I don't know what else to say. But because of that, like, it's also, like, if I don't like you, I don't want you touching me. Because, like, for me, it's, like, a boundary, which I feel like most people feel that way. But, like, I'm very aware of it. I don't usually, like, if I don't like someone, regardless of if I'm, like, trying to be polite or not, and be like, you can't, I won't hug you. Sorry. Or, like, oh, sorry, I'm not really in a place for a hug right now. Or, yeah. But it's hard because men are psycho.
True.
I was then going to go on a tangent about my new neighbor.
You know, you've been talking for a bit.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah, I've noticed that, like, there's quite a few times where, like, you'll be talking for long periods of time. And I'm just like, I'll just, like, keep listening. I'm like, yeah. Yeah,
same. Sometimes I talk so much. I have
you
so
do.
much to
it's
say.
Okay. I like to listen more than I talk, so it works out. I just feel bad sometimes because like it's not like necessarily even. So I'm like, oh. Anyways, it's just an observation.
But yeah, let's find a way to segue, and we can do the new
Trasher Treasure
segment. Trasher Treasure. Consent is a treasure, but asking for a kiss can sometimes be a trash.
Yeah. Rush Limbaugh, trash. Reality TV, I would say trash, but how about you, Sabrina?
It's a trashy treasure. It makes me happy inside. I know it's trash, but like, baby, I'm a raccoon. I don't know what to tell you.
Baby, I'm a raccoon.
On that note of reality TV trash or treasure, news headline that I found, Kim Kardashian files for divorce from Kanye. Trash or treasure?
Well, I guess I'm not really a reality TV person, but so I'm not really up with the Kardashians, but I think it's treasure, like gotta take control of your life and your happiness. And if she doesn't want to stay in that marriage, then don't stay in that marriage.
Yeah, this is like public. Like it's officially happened. People have been talking about it for a while, but it's officially in public record, which is intense for sure.
So does that mean that they're seeking divorce or that they've already filed the papers and they are divorced?
She's filed.
They're divorced.
Well, because like you can file for divorce before like
being divorced,
finishing divorce.
Okay.
Yeah. So filing is kind of the first step for it.
Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify because I wasn't clear.
No, for sure.
Do you think? Well, what do you think on that? And then I have a related topic.
For sure. So I am not a big Kanye fan as like a individual person. But I say that also being aware that he's had a lot of mental health issues and that there is a lot going on in his life that he genuinely needs to sort out and want to fix. And I don't think he's wanted to. And I think that can definitely put a strain on a relationship because he's been able to be unhinged and successful. And I think it definitely lends to a point where the person you're with is like, if you're not going to get better, I can't stay in this. Yeah. Like if you're not willing to try or willing to work for this, I can't enable you anymore. And I think that's kind of where they've gotten to. Because Kim's always been so supportive, but also has had to deal with like a lot when it's like Kanye's acting a fool and she just like can't do anything. She's like, I try, and he's also been so rude to her so many times. And I'm just like, I hate this. So I'm in favor for it, but I also just like do not like either of them.
Okay. So trash or treasure? Kim Kardashian becoming a lawyer.
Trash.
I agree.
Only because she is doing it through a way that you can only do it in California, which is
like being apprentice kind of, right? Where she's like
yeah.
Well, that's kind of like how it used to be. So like it's on the books because like state laws are usually filled with all these old things that aren't practiced anymore.
For sure.
But then I also just feel like I'm not sensing a lot of like genuinity in that. It seems like it's very like publicity focused, and it's just like I don't think the world's necessarily going to be a better place with Kim Kardashian being a lawyer.
I think she's been doing really good things for jail reform and criminal reform and things like that. Like she's been putting a big spotlight on it, but it's also hard because it's Kim Kardashian. So you're like, how genuine or serious can I take this?
Yeah, but she's not doing that as a lawyer. She's more like as a celebrity like activist, which is
she
great.
Doesn't need the law degree to do it. Yeah.
She's like, I don't know if she would serve like clients well by being their like representation because like as like a juror, it's like that lawyer is Kim Kardashian. It's like I don't know. It's just going to be weird.
And I'm not sure if that's necessarily what she wants to do, or she's just trying to like study law, and instead of going to law school, she's doing it with this like internship or apprenticeship, and was trying to. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I think the intentions are okay, but you can be a public advocate without needing to do that, or at least publicly talking about it. Yeah,
but, it's her life. She can do what she wants. Speaking of do what you want,
she's working for it.
Britney Spears still being in what the fuck is it called?
Conservatorship.
Trash. That's shit. That's like BS.
I am all for it if she wasn't also making millions upon millions of dollars a year. Like, if when the conservatorship started, she also stopped working, I would feel better about it. Most people in conservatorships cannot work. They do not work. They cannot work. They have no access to their own funds. They are not healthy enough in mental health or physical health or what have you to make their own decisions or to make money. And she's not just making money. She's making millions upon millions of dollars that she has no access, no authoritative access to, and that's disgusting.
Well, yeah, and like she isn't like a mental case.
No.
She's able to take care of herself, and it's just ridiculous that she's in a conservatorship. And then I think it's also really weird that like her father is like her guardian or whatever, because like he was been on record like as a kid, or like when she was a kid, being like, oh yeah, my daughter's gonna be like make millions and buy me a boat. It's just like I feel like it's really
Mm-hmm.
weird that like he was like as a kid wanting to like seek those money, and then like now he's in charge of her money. So
Yeah. And he wasn't like a big part of her life
no.
until she like spiraled or went like unhinged in her early 20s, which honestly happens to most people, are like, I need to do something different. Like I'm in a rut, all of this. But she was in the public eye and already seen as such this like intense
Well, and like
figure. And
the public eye is part of the reason why she became unhinged, because the media has been
exactly.
so unfair to her. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's why she kind of went nuts, and or just not nuts. She just like went off. It's just like, and, you know, like shave her head and stuff. It's just like the paparazzi and like media has been cruel to her.
Mm-hmm.
And
and a lot of like, sorry,
I was gonna say, like, even since like she was a kid, like
for sure. And one of the things, like a lot of the stuff, because one of the like breaking points and things you can look at is like when I think it was her second son was really, really little. There's this moment with the paparazzi where she had to drive away, like holding him, like she could not get him in his car seat. And like that was a moment that people were like, Brittany's completely unhinged. And it's like, no, the paparazzi is completely out of control. And it was just like there's so many dangerous situations that she's been put in because of the fame that's like enveloped her. That's just really unfair and has made her such this like public figure of like, I was gonna say battery, but I don't know if that's necessarily the right word I'm looking for. Like she was such like a media. No, I just keep going for physical things. She was such a media punching bag. Like people used her as the punchline of so many jokes or as like a sordid tale.
Yeah,
and it's just gross.
They had her on like Family Feud as like things Britney Spears has lost, like her mind, her job, her money, her hair. It's like that's ridiculous. Like you're making fun of her on Family Feud.
Yeah, when it's like she's an actual human being, and it's the same thing that they did to like Lindsay Lohan, or even like the things that Amanda Bynes has gone through. Is it's like these are real people who were pushed into fame at a young age due to parental greed, honestly, in my opinion, and then not being allowed to be children and growing up to become very successful, and then be told that they can't, and then like be offered all of this stuff of like drugs and money and like a relief from what they've been having to live, and then it's like, oh, they're completely unhinged. And it's like, yeah, because you've pushed them to be. Like there's no other way for them to function. It's really sad. And I think Britney should have control over her life, because like you can't say she's mentally unfit and then also have her performing 8 shows a night in Vegas. Like it's ridiculous.
Anyways, are you ready to answer some weird questions from the internet?
Yes. Dumbass questions for us to answer in dumbass ways. Hey. And so I actually have one.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad. What is this question?
We've been using Yahoo Answers, but I went to one of my favorite sources for the most fucked up things, Reddit. Mm-hmm. And I went into the Reddit subreddit called Sex Advice.
Okay.
So this question: how can I, a 27-year-old female, help improve my new partner's 21-year-old male performance? Quotes, show him the ropes, if you will.
I guess I don't really have many things popping into my head right now. But maybe after hearing yours, I'll have some stuff. I guess the first thing I would just say is just, you know, I think communication is a great way to like improve sex, or just like saying like, hey, that's good, try this.
For sure.
This feels good. So it's like talking.
Yeah. Communication. And then she's also in a really fun place of being older, of having that kind of experience and being able to acknowledge that, be like, hey, like I'm a little more experienced than you. Like, let's really improve you for like the future and get this going. Cause I think that's super beneficial. But yeah, communication, authority, and just kind of like showing him the ropes, even if that means like that you want him to tie you up. Like, because like in my idea where it's like, oh, how do I do this? Well, it's like, okay, so if you want him to take control, you have to like lead first.
Is this like BDSM, or is this just like?
I mean,
is that
it might be,
well,
but like
you say like show me the ropes and like tying them up.
Subreddit. Yeah, but like that's kind of where my head goes. I'm like, oh, if this is about like BDSM or something, like you kind of have to take the lead first and like explain things and then kind of get them sorted. And then
I thought it was just vanilla sex. From there.
I mean, it could also be vanilla sex, but either way, you still need to kind of take the lead.
Either way, communication is key. Talking about things beforehand, consent, all those great things.
Okay, I have another question.
I would love it.
Oh, no, keep going.
No, I was going to say, you done? I'm done.
Oh, great. Okay, I have another question for you because I think you are a great person to answer this that I cannot. My boyfriend wants to try prostate stimulation. I want to be as supportive and helpful as possible, but I'm ignorant to this stuff. Tips?
Gosh, I don't know why you assume that I know all these things. I guess like
I know nothing about prostate stimulation. Like it's something I've never really played with.
Okay. So I guess the easiest way to do it is probably just stick like a finger in. You want to make sure that it's going to be weird. Like I don't know how females do this, because usually with guys, like you trim your fingernails if we're going to do stuff like that. With like women, they might have like long nails. Like maybe you shouldn't be doing fingering if you have long nails. But if you don't, make sure like your nails are trimmed back so it doesn't like scrape. And then if you stick your finger in, kind of like facing up and feel along the top, there'll be a couple inches in like a walnut, something that kind of feels like a walnut, like hard and round. That's the prostate. And if you play with that, rub your finger around, whatever, that should feel somewhat good to your partner. So you could do that while they are pleasuring themselves. And, otherwise, there are toys that you can buy online that are shaped to hit the prostate. So for a male, you could like put that in and leave it there while you have intercourse, or you could take it in and out, or there's vibrating ones, so you could take it in and have it vibrate. So yeah, there's lots of options.
One point to that I would like to add, even though I don't know much, lubrication.
Oh yeah, lubrication's key. The anus is not self-lubricating. You have to provide your own.
Perfect. I think that'll be really helpful for anyone who wanted to know more about prostate stimulation.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you are actually interested in this stuff, just Google it. There's a lot of great resources out there. You don't need to go to Reddit to find an article on it. I'm sure these days Cosmopolitan or many magazines have guides. You can easily find information on this. Just look for it.
When in doubt, Google it.
Yeah. See, like, I feel like that's my natural tendency. Like, when I don't know something, I'll just, like, Google it. So I'm just don't know. Maybe this person's, like, older and, like, that's not how they were raised. Because I think, like, being young, like, that's what we've done for years. That's how we were raised. Anyways.
That's true.
Do you have any more questions?
I do not, but I have 2 political headlines.
Ooh.
As we know, Texas is going through massive things, so these both have to do with Texas. The first one, Donald Trump Jr. hits out Democrat governor of Texas, who is actually a Republican.
Yeah, that's lovely. The irony, and I think it just shows like how uneducated and how uninformed I shouldn't say uneducated. It shows how uninformed they are when they are making these statements and these accusations, and that they are less They care less about whether something is true and more whether it is impactful and that their followers like it.
Yeah, I just think it's so funny to say that. I'd also like to note, I'm just reading headlines. I have no idea if these are true statements, but I would definitely believe that anyone who doesn't agree with Donald Trump Jr., he would call a Democrat just to do that. Or anyone who's doing something that the world is seeing poorly, probably be like, that's a Democrat. Along the same lines, Ted Cruz received more money from oil and gas companies in 2018 than any other senator.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not either. It's just funny because oil and gas, typically energy. What does Texas not have right now? Energy. How bizarre. How bizarre.
Yeah. I saw a funny tweet saying that, like, I'm glad that the Texas now requires that all students take the Constitution class because obviously the media is trying to blame Ted Cruz for this, and all Texans will know that senators are not responsible for running the energy in the state. And I just want to be like really snotty and be like, really? Because I expect my senator to go work in a coal mine.
Right. Well, and it's just like I have so many problems with Ted Cruz. So many people do. But it's just like the tone deafness of like leaving during all of this. In general, it's middle of a pandemic. You shouldn't be traveling.
Yeah.
Like international travel is so dangerous right now. And then on top of that, during like the worst weather of your state's like recent history where like so many people are without power and you are a political figure for them and you're just like, see ya, gotta go.
Like people are dying
off,
and
man.
you're flying off to warm weather and Mai Tais. I think
people, yeah.
He's not responsible for it. Like he is not in charge of energy. No. It just looks really bad. And that just happens. Sometimes things look bad when you're a politician, Democrat or Republican.
It's also like a big conversation to have of like energy being another thing that is privatized, like energy lines and things like that. And it's like, how helpful is it to have your electricity and everything privatized in situations like this where there's no like the uniformity of like requirements of things? Because so much of it just wasn't structured to be able to withstand this kind of weather, which again, it's something that they never expected to happen, but they were like, oh yeah, we'll save millions of dollars by not doing this, versus like a regulation being like everything has to be able to withstand any type of weather. But then that would also have to admit to global warming and climate change, which they also don't want to do. Yeah. But like, why are people dying, like freezing to death in Texas right now? You know, like.
Yeah, it seems like something you should be able to prevent. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I don't know. I mean, we're fine up here. All right.
Here's a question. I'm trying to find a boyfriend to take care of me. Why are guys nowadays so cheap and bad? That's the title. The paragraph is rather small. It's like, I want to be taken care of. What happened to letting your girlfriend stay home to cook, clean, and do house errands? I guess my answer is like, if you want that, go to the South, go to Texas. There are also websites online where you can find like a sugar daddy that will give you his credit card, like she asks later. Men used to give their card easily to their girlfriends. It's like, yeah, if you want to be taken care of, there's places where you can do that. Just gotta look.
For sure. Well, and like I have a friend who she doesn't work. She's only had like maybe 1 or 2 jobs her whole life, and she just doesn't like doing that. And she met a man who has just kind of said, that's okay. I've been taking care of myself long enough. I can add you in too, and it's fine. And they've made it work. They got married pretty fast. And I don't always trust her opinion on things or like her decision-making skills. But like so far they've seemed happy. So like they're definitely out there. You just kind of have to look for them and you'll meet one. And if they like you enough, they'll do it. And hopefully they're actually a good human being and not someone who's just want someone they can isolate and take away from all their family and friends and be able to control completely.
Yeah. Will nightclubs be safe to visit next year once most people are vaccinated? If most people are vaccinated to like the 70% and the CDC says they're safe to go then they are safe to go to. I think it's hard to predict when these things are going to happen, but probably. Do you think nightclubs are going to be safe by next year? Epidemiologist Sabrina?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll happen sooner than we think, and it'll be very exciting. I think it'll be really nice once everything is kind of settled and sorted and life is back to normal. This doesn't last forever. There's been pandemics for centuries upon centuries. There'll be another one after this one, and people eventually go back to living again. You just kind of have to wait. The best advice is to just grin and bear it, keep your head down, stay home, and then sooner rather than later, we'll be able to party like Australia currently is.
Yeah. Princeton asks, in politics and governments under law and ethics, why do women, when you counter them, so I'm guessing like counter argue, respond that you are a misogynist?
Because you probably are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like if all these women say you're a misogynist, it's probably just because you are. Because in my experience, I've never been called a misogynist. And I don't know many women that just go around calling people misogynists unless they are one. Do you, Sabrina?
No, I've called men out for being like, they'll say something, I'll be like, that was kind of misogynistic. And a lot of times they'll be like, what? No, not me. And I'm like, I can tell by your reaction. Then I've had other guys be like, what? No, wait, was it? Why? Because like they actually care versus like wanting to defend that they're not.
Okay. Theoretical question. If you were a porn star, would you be good at your job?
No, I'm so lazy.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
I think to be a sex worker and like to be good at it, make money at it, you have to really
hone your craft.
Continue working for it. Yeah, I think of, all the people on like OnlyFans who make a lot of money and are like consistent with it. I'm like, long term, I could never.
Well, I think it's fun to be a sex worker, but porn stars, like, they have sex for like 8 hours to like film that, like, I don't know how long, 30, 40-minute, hour-long, whatever thing you're doing. It's like, that's like a long time to stay hard. That's a long time to like be just having sex. It's just like, I don't know. That's cardio right there.
Yeah.
Would you bang pots and pans during a solar eclipse to make sure that the shadow demon doesn't eat the sun? Would you? I already do that.
Yeah,
who wouldn't?
Like that's what everyone does. Like you're supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's not really a question.
Yeah, the next solar eclipse is in like 2021, I think. I was reading it in my astronomy book.
Depends on where you are, Sabrina. For the United States.
The next one for us in like the northern hemisphere or whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's solar eclipses like all the time, but a lot of times they're in like the ocean and stuff like that.
Yeah, or they're like a weird partial or what have you.
Okay, here's a good one. Under Diet and Fitness by my friend Pam. If swimming is so healthy, then why are whales so fat? I don't like you body shaming those big, beautiful, majestic creatures. And we don't really know I don't know their fat composition, and I don't know. Pam, I don't know.
I don't know either, Pam, but also like they're built to be big, so they are. Like they have a very high caloric need, and like they are made to be that large. Like that's why they are. Like that's just like their genetics. Like what the why? It's the evolution of them. Like go away, Pam.
Go away, Pam. See, I know that question is supposed to be a joke, but see, I am
so stupid.
Yeah. See, the funny thing is, like, this is called like dumb answers, but we are both like incapable of not taking the question seriously.
Well, and I mean, we didn't take that last one. Like, we cannot take a question seriously. Sometimes. But here's the thing: I have like a very low threshold for like people trying to make a fat joke.
Yeah. Well, that's right? Like why I didn't like make a joke about it, because like that's like an issue that our society is like actively dealing with.
Exactly.
So it's just like, I don't think it's
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because, like, that's what it was. Like, it is a fat joke. So it just kind of comes from, like, a place of ignorance of, like, oh, yeah, like, swimming's supposed to be exercise. Why are whales fat? And it's like, well, like, because they're supposed to be. Like,
stop fat shaming them, Gail. Pam.
Pam, whatever your name is. Because it's just, like, one of those things that you're like, this isn't funny. Because it's just, like, it's so stupid. And, like, you're just like, is there supposed to be? Like, that's all I got for you. That is my dumb answer to that stupid fucking question.
Yeah. Well, another thing is, like, a lot of these questions seem so absurd, and I don't never know whether or not they're like trying to be serious or trying to be like a parody of like.
Right.
Because like there's a lot of political ones, and it's like, why are Democrats trying to ruin America with Mexican rapists? That was literally one of them I saw, and it's like, I don't know if you're serious or a parody, and that's a scary thing to not be able to tell that in politics.
Yeah. Well, there was this article that a cousin of mine who is conservative, she posted it, and it was from a conservative media website, and it was about a handful of people on Twitter were tweeting about how rude it was for Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl during Black History Month against a black quarterback.
Yeah.
Which I found hilarious because I was like, that is a really funny tweet. Like, it's so satirical in that, like that's so funny. But you could tell that, like, the conservatives weren't seeing the jokes in the tweets. And then I posted it and was like, these snowflakes, because I love calling them snowflakes. And then a mutual friend of ours commented on it and was like, I don't know, seems pretty real. And I'm like, you're kidding. And he wasn't. So then I commented back and I'm like, no, you're right. Like, I definitely could see Tom Brady putting in extra effort to defeat Mahomes because of Black History Month.
Yeah. What a racist.
And then, like, my conservative uncle, like, laughed at it. And I'm like, I know you think that, I'm like, do you know that I'm kidding? Like, do you understand that this is fun, like, genuinely funny because it's such a ludicrous idea?
Yeah.
Like,
the thing that I thought was interesting in the article is it was saying, like, there's way too many tweets about this for this to, like, be a joke. I'm just like, have you fucking met Twitter? It's called, like, when people repeat the same thing and change it and have their own variety. It's called a meme. They were creating a meme out of that.
Yeah.
And, like,
it's a meme. It was a trending topic, so people kept going with it. Like, it's funny. Like, it's not, like, super funny, but then, like, the conservative outcry is what made it really funny. Like, it's, like,
well, that's, like, kind of like, well, that's what we found funny, but, like, Black Twitter evidently found it was funny, and, like, you know, it's not your space on the internet. Conservatives, stop trying to judge it, and, like,
well, because then what they do is they're like, look at these ridiculous snowflakes being so angry about something that's obviously not, like, that can't be true. And it's like, you're the one who's angry about it.
Yeah, that's the irony of the situation.
Exactly. Gotta love that irony.
Did you know that The Onion was started in Madison, Wisconsin?
Yes.
By UW-Madison people.
I did. I heard about that on Keep It, and I was like, oh, that's because they mentioned Wisconsin, and then they went into The Onion, and I was like, oh. And I was like, that doesn't super surprise me. So I'm like, I must have learned about that sometime in high school and just forgot about it.
I didn't know that till recently, but I'm very proud of that.
Same.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up, baby.
Wrap it up. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help keep BSW going, consider joining our Patreon. You can join through the link in the show notes.
If you want to share your thoughts and opinions on today's topic, or just say hi to me and Cooper, connect with us on social media. Our social handles are posted in the show notes.
If you enjoy this episode, consider giving BSW a rating or review. We would love your feedback, and ratings help the podcast grow.
Until next time, stay thirsty.
Love it. Okay.
I need a nap.